It's extremely funny to me that Nintendo is, as one handsome Twitch regular put it, embarking on their villain arc while the Nintendo of America CEO is literally named Bowser. The Nintendo Switch 2 finally drops on June 5th, and it's shaping up to be a beast of a console compared to the original Switch. Bigger screen, beefier specs, and all the Mario goodness we crave? Well, there's a kart game at least. But Nintendo themselves have been playing dirtier than Bowser, kidnapping Peach for the 500th time in the lead up to the console's release, wiping out years of goodwill from their fans with a slew of craptastical corporate carryings-on. So, to celebrate the imminent arrival of the Switch 2, let's round up Nintendo's pre-launch blunders, from emulation hypocrisy to pricing that's got fans raging harder than a chain chomp. And yeah, their American CEO really is named Bowser. Let's all go! First up, Nintendo's emulation dramas. These guys love swinging their legal hammer at fan-made emulators like Yuzu, who agreed to a $2.4 million settlement after Nintendo sued them, claiming Yuzu was facilitating piracy at a colossal scale, and it's hard to argue with that. Yuzu was extremely user-friendly and accessible compared to the emulators of old, and did indeed make playing pirated copies of Nintendo Switch games ridiculously easy. But the same week they officially unveiled the Switch 2, Nintendo lawyer Koji Nishiura gave an interview that indicated Nintendo was primarily only concerned with people emulating their current systems. Again, understandable. In fact, that interview was the whole reason I made the video saying don't emulate the Switch 2. My bad for thinking Nintendo might actually leave us emulation enjoyers alone if we left their currently supported platforms alone. But then, plot twist, Nintendo's out here using emulation themselves the entire time like it's no big deal. Last year they opened their fancy museum in Japan, proudly showing off their history with emulated games running on custom setups. And let's not forget their Switch Online service. It's literally just emulated NES, SNES, N64, GBA and GameCube games you have to pay an ongoing subscription to play. So, to be clear, fans can't emulate their own ROMs of their own games that they bought with their own money if their original hardware is no more, but Nintendo can emulate all they want, charge you for it, and call it a retro experience. Not only that, their updated user agreement for the Switch 2 gives them the right to brick your console that you bought if you modify it, or even if you want to do homebrew gaming or mod single-player games that have zero impact on online multiplayer titles. No, Nintendo. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Ownership matters. If I buy something, I own it. Point blank, period. I don't care if the original hardware is discontinued, I bought a game. I want to play it, and if I have to dump the ROM and play it on an emulator, that's my business. If I want to modify my console or the games on it for my own enjoyment, that's my business too. I gave you money. Get bent. Next, let's talk about Nintendo's game keycard fiasco. These are basically Switch 2 cartridges that don't hold the full game, just a download code dressed up like a physical copy. You pop it in and it's like, yeah, go download your game from the eShop. When we are buying physical games, we expect to receive physical games. Fans are understandably livid. We can look at Doom: The Dark Ages' recent release and see how unpopular a move like that is. Many players cancelled their pre-orders for the physical version, and why wouldn't they, when the disc they're buying holds minimal data and a download is required? The official explanation Nintendo has given for this approach is the cards are supposed to help third-party developers with games too big for the 64GB cartridges. Cool, but why is Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 a 4GB game on a key card? This is like buying a Big Mac and getting a coupon for a burger instead. And what about game preservation? Good luck playing these when the Switch 2 eShop inevitably shuts down like the Wii U's did. Sony and Microsoft already started to embrace the all-digital approach a few years ago, but now Nintendo's out here speedrunning the death of physical media and making sure you don't have the ROM to emulate in future while they're at it. CEO Doug Bowser, yes, named after the fire-breathing turtle dragon king of the Koopas himself, says physical games are for the immediate future a key, lol, part of our business. That wording seems to imply that game keycards are being positioned to become the standard at some point in the not-so-immediate future, which also just feels like a middle finger to collectors. As I said in the last video, this is effectively DRM for physical games. You're just not allowed to own what you buy anymore. Now, let's talk pricing. The Switch 2 costs $450, $150 more than the original Switch's launch price. At first, I didn't think that was unreasonable. The price of entry usually is kinda high for a brand new system. But then the tariffs hit and Nintendo delayed US pre-orders to assess the impact. I figured whatever, maybe the price will go up a bit, but the games would be more affordable. Except they're not. Not for Switch 2. Mario Kart World is $80, while Donkey Kong Bonanza's at $70. This is like a fifth of the price of the console itself. Nintendo's calling it variable pricing, based on gameplay depth and durability. Bro, it's Mario Kart, not a 200-hour RPG. Mr. Bowser tried to defend this in interviews, saying it's about the value of the experience, which isn't too different to the attitude of another out-of-touch CEO, Gearbox's Randy Pitchfork, who recently said you're not a real fan if you can't cough up $80 for Borderlands 4. Do you guys think we're stupid? We've all been watching the studio closures and mass layoffs across the games industry for several years now, so the argument that production costs are going up to justify a new $80 standard doesn't hold water. You're paying less staff. Your costs have gone down. This is just plain old-fashioned corporate greed, disingenuously pushing and testing to see what you can get away with. Bowser even had the gall to basically say if you can't afford a Switch 2, buy a Switch 1. And how long are you going to keep supporting the Switch 1, Nintendo? Is every Switch 2 game going to get a Switch 1 release too? Will you create a cheaper Switch Lite 2 at some point? The Switch 2's got massive potential, but the ridiculously anti-consumer moves Nintendo's made in the build-up to its launch has left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I don't think it'll be dead on arrival the way the Wii U was, but they are almost certainly not going to see the same kind of sales and success they got with the OG Switch. Greed will be their downfall. Fans want to love you. We want to love you, Nintendo, not fight you in a lava castle, but by all means continue with your corporate hubris and see what it gets you. Until next time, you were the Retro Rebellion. And I'm still mad that this reflection is missing in Prime Remastered.